In New Mexico, going 20 miles per hour over the posted speed limit costs you $65. In Virginia, the same drive costs you up to $2,500, up to 12 months in jail, 6 months without your driver's license, and a permanent criminal record. Same drive, same speedometer, same federal interstate system, different state. Today on State Coded, how 50 states price the consequence of breaking the speed limit, and the one state where breaking it doesn't just cost you money, it costs you years. 9 states at $100 or less, 28 states between $100 and $200, 7 states above $200, 5 states with a criminal threshold somewhere on the schedule, and 1, Virginia, where 20 over is criminal anywhere on any road. 5 tiers, 50 states. Last week we mapped the speed limit. Today we map the consequence. There is no federal speeding ticket statute. There is no federal penalty schedule. Just as state speed limits became 100% state set when the federal cap was repealed in 1995, the penalty for exceeding those limits has always been entirely state and local. Each state's vehicle code sets a fine schedule. Counties and cities add court costs and surcharges. State police, county sheriffs, and city officers enforce. The federal government has almost nothing to say. So when you cross a state line at speed, you're crossing 2 regulatory regimes at once. The speed limit on the sign and the price of ignoring it. Same federalism, same map, 2 numbers per state. Brief pause. This episode is sponsored by my private community. Speeding ticket schedules are the kind of state data that gets buried in court PDFs. We maintain a constantly updated table of fines, criminal thresholds, and license point matrices for every state, plus the deeper question of why consequences vary the way they do. Over 100,000 readers. Link in the description. Now back to the walk. 9 states under $100. 9 states have base speeding fines of $100 or less. New Mexico tops the list. $25 for going up to 10 over the limit, $65 for 16 to 20 over, scaling tier by tier up to $200 at 35 over. Nebraska matches at $25 for the minimum tier. Montana, $40. North Dakota, $40. Washington, $43. South Dakota, $79. Pennsylvania uses a pure formula, $35 base plus $2 per mile over the limit, making it the most transparent fine schedule in the country. Rhode Island, $95. Alaska, around $80. All civil infractions, all payable by mail. No risk of jail, no criminal record. And almost all of them are states with quiet rural roads and small populations, where speeding enforcement is funded by violations, but not designed to maximize revenue. Speeding is treated as a casual administrative transaction. 28 states sit in the middle. Base fines between $100 and $200 for 20 over, more than half the country. Hawaii at $107. Tennessee, a flat one, $14, regardless of speed. Mississippi, Missouri, Louisiana, Kansas, Utah, South Carolina, all in the $120 range. Kentucky, Massachusetts, West Virginia at $130. Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, Minnesota, Alabama, Vermont, $140-ish. Connecticut, Oregon, New Hampshire, $123 to $165. New Jersey at $200, borderline. And Idaho, the state the intake of this episode originally cited as the cheap end, actually fits here at $155. Idaho uses a flat 2-tier system, $90 for the first 15 mph over, $155 for anything above. A flat schedule state, not a low fine state. The states in this cluster vary in mechanism, but agree on the price. Most of America. 7 states sit above $200 in base fine for 20 over, the expensive but still civil tier. California leads at $234 or more, the highest base in the nation. Arizona at $231, Nevada and Texas tied at $223, Florida at $204. New York scales from $150 to $300 plus 6 driver's license points. Wisconsin ranges from $200 to $800. None of these states make speeding criminal at 20 over. You'll get a ticket. You'll pay it. Your insurance will go up. Your record gets points, but you won't be in court answering to a judge in handcuffs. The expensive civil cluster is interesting because it includes Texas, the state with the highest legal speed limit in the country that we covered in EPO 1, the 85 mph stretch of State Highway 130. Same state, highest legal speed and high penalty for exceeding it. The state of Texas wants the option. 5 states have crossed from civil to criminal, but only above an elevated threshold. Illinois, aggravated speeding. 26 to 34 over, Class B misdemeanor up to $1,500 and 6 months in jail. 35 over, Class A misdemeanor, $2,500 and 12 months. Maryland passed a bright line statute on October 1st, 2025. 30 over equals reckless driving up to 60 days in jail. North Carolina has a variable threshold. 80 MP anywhere is Class 2 misdemeanor, regardless of the posted limit. 15 over on roads below 55 also triggers it. Georgia took a third approach, the super speeder law from 2010. 75 on a 2-lane or 85 anywhere adds $200 dedicated to trauma centers. Not criminal, but the consequence escalates. Wyoming statutorily classifies speeding as misdemeanor, but treats it as a fine in practice. 5 different approaches to the same question. When does fast become criminal? And then there is Virginia. Virginia stands alone. 20 miles per hour over the posted speed limit on any road in Virginia is automatically reckless driving. So is going over 85 mph regardless of the posted limit. Both are Class 1 misdemeanors. Maximum penalty up to $2,500 in fines, up to 12 months in county jail, up to 6 months without your driver's license, 6 DMV points, and a permanent criminal record, not a traffic infraction, an actual misdemeanor conviction that shows up on background checks for life. The statute is Virginia Code Section 46-2-862, passed in the 1990s as a deterrence measure. Virginia courts often resolve first offense cases with reduced charges, but the statutory exposure is full Class 1 every time. A driver from another state passing through Virginia at 90 in a 70 zone is 1 traffic stop away from a criminal record. Virginia did the math and decided the consequence should match the speed. 3 quick wrinkles. First, Oregon. Oregon House Bill 4105, signed in 2022, authorized automatic doubling of any speeding fine inside a school zone, a work zone, or a designated safety corridor. A standard 165 fine becomes 330 automatically. No judicial discretion. Several other states have similar rules. Idaho's construction zone surcharge. Most states' work zone enhancements. Oregon's school zone rule is the cleanest version of a category that's almost universal but rarely publicized. Second, North Carolina deserves a closer look. North Carolina criminalizes speeding at variable thresholds. 80 mph anywhere or 15 over on a road below 55 is Class 2 misdemeanor. On a 70 mph highway, 90 mph triggers Class 2. The same speed that triggers Virginia's Class 1. North Carolina's threshold can be functionally stricter than Virginia's on slower roads. Third, Maryland just changed its rules. October 1st, 2025, a new bright line. 30 mph over equals reckless driving as a matter of law. Before October, prosecutors had to prove subjective intent. Now they just prove the speed. Maryland is the most recent state to add itself to the criminal cluster. Last week we mapped the speed limit. This week, the consequence. There is no American speeding ticket. There is one in every state. 49 of them cost money. 1 can cost your record. The sign tells you the speed. The next number tells you what kind of person you become if you ignore it. Next week, the legal blood alcohol limit, the one state that lowered it from 0.08 to 0.05, what your first DUI actually costs, and the state where it can be a felony on offense 1. Subscribe so the algorithm doesn't bury us.